All right, welcome back to a special edition of the All American Hoops podcast. I'm Chris Driscoll. This is episode 127. We're off our usual Thursday nights. Doing it on a Tuesday night currently, under special circumstances. Currently the NBA draft is going on, so and obviously a big trade, or probably the biggest trade that over the last decade or so, besides maybe the Luka trade, happened last night as well. So we figured we definitely want to get an episode in, especially because I can't make it here on Thursday. But definitely happy that I'm here tonight for episode 127. Joining me, as per usual, is my younger brother Matt Driscoll.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. It's been a little bit since I've been on last time, actually. There's not many things that would make me miss the start of Love Island season 8, episode 9 tonight. However, there are many things that would make me not watch the Mets, and this is one of them. Happy to not watch the Mets. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
I'm happy to not watch the Mets as well. But also joining me is our older brother John Driscoll.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I think the last time at least the last time I was on the show was our predictions for the finals.
That's right.
And we very correctly predicted the Knicks to win that series. I think we both picked the Knicks in 6.
We did.
Which, it's probably the closest it could be to being right while being wrong.
Right.
While also, I think that series very well could have been Spurs in 6. If a couple, things go the Spurs way, or I shouldn't even say it like that because that discredits the Knicks. I think it's more so if the Spurs make a couple more plays down the stretch where the Knicks did, because I think the Knicks earned every bit of that run and that championship. So shout out to a select few of our friends, not all of them, but a very special shout out to our two uncles, Uncle Blue and Uncle Tony. So very happy for them.
That's for sure.
But we are on to 2026, 2027. I have not thought about the Knicks championship for at least 12 seconds. So I think we're ready to move on.
Neither of you guys were able to come on last week. We had John from JFK on the show, or I forgot who even put. He didn't put John from JFK. He put like so and so son as his name. I forgot what it was. But he can't just make it simple. Put John Cassidy. But no, that was a great episode. Yeah, that was a great episode. If you're a Knicks fan, even if you're not a Knicks fan, I was watching it. It was a good show. But anyway, so this is going to be a unique episode. It's going to be a lot of something before. This is going to be a lot of bouncing around. We're not going to stick to one topic like we usually do for like 20 minutes then move on. It's going to be a lot of bouncing around. I think since the draft is going on right now, I think we'll cover up the first 2 picks because the first 2 picks are in. With the first pick being the Washington Wizards taking AJ Dibinsa. I'm going to need to learn to say that name eventually. I don't know, though. And then the Jazz took Darren Peterson, which both of those are unsurprising picks. They were very much projected for all of them. And then the Grizzlies pick is currently in. I'm assuming that's going to be Cam Boozer. But we'll do since there's not much to say about these first couple picks. I think there's one more Wizards thing we can add on for sure. But Matt, I guess we can first cover the Wizards. Did they make the right pick with drafting Dibinsa, and how do you feel about him in the future with the Wizards?
See, I was back and forth on who I would have taken first overall, which if it was Peterson or Dibinsa. I think Dibinsa is the safer pick. Because he just has less question marks about him. He is the bigger guy. I feel like his game is more well-rounded than Peterson. I saw him being compared to his play style being compared to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, which is always a good thing to be 2 players to be compared to. If I'm a Wizards fan, or if I'm in the DC area, I'm very, very excited. Obviously, we watched him a lot at BYU this year. He's just an elite player. Plays both sides of the floor. However, I think both players are going to be unbelievable. Peterson obviously has those question marks with his injury history. I think if he loves basketball or if he wants to play basketball, is a bit overblown. I don't think you're a top NBA prospect if you don't love basketball. Sure. Peterson, I think, is a risk, and I think Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz, I think Danny Ainge is totally fine taking risks in the draft. We have seen that in his past. I think that's he's going to be a great pairing. I think he's going to be a great pairing with Ace Bailey. I think Ace Bailey also has a bright future in Utah. And Keontae George took a big leap last year. He's going to be the primary ball handler there. I know Peterson's definitely more of a 2 than a 1. So having an elite ball handler there, I or primarily ball handler, and Utah is going to help him a lot. But I mean, we saw Ainge take a risk with Jaylen Brown, and it worked out in Boston. I don't think Peterson at 2 is a risk at all. But I do think there are the question marks that I said, and I think both picks were the correct picks. I would have went to bounce a 1, Peterson 2.
Yeah, definitely to echo a couple things from you, Matt. From my perspective, I thought AJ DeBanza was far and away the best player in this draft, at least for the Wizards. I think, especially with the extension of Trae Young, and pairing him with Anthony Davis in the front court is a scary defensive front court, in my opinion. Definitely understand the comparisons with him and Jason Tatum. He's about 6'9", 6'10". Defends really well. You saw him in that BYU. They didn't really go on too much of a run in March, but like that, he was far and away the best player on the court. Very good defensively. I was talking to somebody I work with today. It's like, he's like a big man, but he moves like a guard. And I think there are very few players in the NBA who do that. So definitely agree that the Wizards drafting him is a great move. Our Wizards for the district. I still follow that Wizards beat reporter who gave me inside information during my fantasy basketball championship. And then moving on to Darren Peterson, I remember when Anthony Edwards got drafted and people thought he didn't like basketball enough because he came out and said that he liked football. And people were like, oh, I guess he doesn't like basketball enough. Now Anthony Edwards is the top. What, Chris? Give me your number that you had Anthony Edwards at.
I'm at number 8.
Yep. So top 8 player in the NBA. I think he's very similar to Anthony Edwards in my opinion. Just like a shifty guard, just extremely talented. And once you get him on like a program, like an NBA program where you're playing basketball and working out all year round, I think the sky's the limit. So I think it's not really a stretch to say the number 1 and 2 overall pick are great players, but I think that it's a little bit different from most years in that I think both of these 2 guys can be stars in the future.
I totally agree. And yeah, both of them are very, this is definitely one of the better drafts in a while for top prospects. Both of them have very high ceilings. I think that DeBenza is in a very interesting situation for sure. We'll hop back to him in a second with the Wizards' current system. And everything you said about Peterson is accurate. The Jazz have currently Ace Bailey and Peterson, both players, both risk takers there. And then also the Jazz also gave up a lot of their draft picks, not prospects, for Jaren Jackson Jr. So they have Jackson, Lauri Markkanen, those 2 young guys, and Walker Kessler is currently extension available. I don't think his value is as high as it was after his rookie season. I think his rookie year, some people were saying that he should have won Rookie of the Year over Paolo. Depending on how you look at it, analytics that he should have, but obviously Rookie of the Year isn't really an analytics award. But that part would be interesting. I'm interested to see if I'm assuming that I don't think Jackson's gonna get flipped, but I'm wondering if Markkanen is someone that might get moves while his trade value, because his trade value went down for a little bit, but after last season I think it went back up. So I don't know what the thought process is going to be there. By the way, Cam Boozer was just drafted by the Grizzlies. We'll hop back to him in a second. But before I do that, I do want to cover the Wizards just because one more thing they did, obviously yesterday, totally covered by the Giannis trade, was Trae Young was signed to a supermax extension, 4 years, $212 million. I usually ask you guys for your opinion first, but I'm going to give mine because I think that this is a horrible contract, and this is one of those. And I really feel like most contracts are when you see it right away, you already know it's bad. Like we saw the Wizards do it with Bradley Beal. We saw it when they traded Bradley Beal for Chris Paul, and then they were like, okay, so yeah, Chris Paul's only you got the contract. You only got a couple more years left with him, and then you trade Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, who another player that was on a horrible contract. So I don't know what the Wizards' deal is with taking on bad contracts. I understand that they have some of the like a lot of the guys are younger, so they need to spend their money somewhere. But 4 years is a lot. They should have done 2, maybe 3 years, because paying 30-something-year-old, like 32-year-old Trae Young, with his injury proneness, his size, that old, just is not the right move to me, and just not the move that you make as a franchise looking ahead. So I'm sure you guys agree with me. You don't have much else to say, but Matt, any thoughts?
I think it's such a shame that they gave him this many years, Chris. Like you said, I feel like the Wizards have been moving in such a good direction. I feel like the tides were turning with their not their lottery luck because they were the worst. They had the worst
Yeah.
record in the league, I believe. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I think maybe it is because of the anti-tanking rules. You know, they're like maybe
Yeah.
we'll try to win in a couple more games the next couple years, but we know who Trey Young is at this point.
Yeah.
He's turning 28 this year. He's not really an Iron Man. He's one of the worst defenders in the league. He's going to be a high quality floor raiser. I think he will be a good veteran for the young guys in the locker room. Um, but he's not a championship player. I think he's kind of proven that time and time again. And I know that is easy to say about a lot of guys. It's like he's not a championship player until they win, but he hasn't shown us any reason why to think that he could make the change to becoming a championship player. And I know Jalen Brunson leaving X amount, 113 million on the table is totally rare, and only like a handful of guys would ever do that in the league. But I think he's making 39 million a year when his extension kicks in. Is that wrong, Chris? Is that and what's
Um,
Trey Young making? What was it, 212 over four?
yeah. Mhm.
What's that,
Yeah.
53? Like
It's crazy. Yeah.
that's not like that's a insane difference for somebody who's way, way, way worse than Jalen Brunson, who's tiers below him. It is disappointing in my Wizards. Shout out my Wizard fan Grady Longhorn or Longerin, for being the one Wizards fan I know besides present company excluded. Um, it's just a shame. It seems like they were making a ton of right moves, and I feel like this is a wrong move that could hinder their future.
Totally agree. It's a terrible contract, and I'm somebody who probably respects Trey Young more than the average fan. I think he's a total liability on defense, but I do think he brings a ton of offensive value. Do I think that a healthy Anthony Davis, Trey Young, and AJ is like a pretty fun offense? Absolutely. Like I think that would be fun. But the
Yeah.
fact that it's 4 years, and I don't think the Wizards were really like itching for depth at the point guard position. Like they have Bub Carrington, who I think was like a very promising guard last year. I know
Mhm.
Bilal Colby is like more of like a forward, but like he can run the like not run the point, but he can run like a point forward in a way. And at the end of the day, like if you're really struggling for a point guard down the line, D'Angelo Russell is on your roster. Like I know he's not like anything special, but like I'd probably take D'Angelo Russell for like the vet minimum over Trey Young for 50 million a year. Is
Yeah,
that crazy to say?
you're not trying to win a championship right now. Like it's not like
No.
that's like
And like
your goal is
and
to
he's
have the young guys
so bad
develop.
defensively. Like he
Yeah.
is he's like historically bad defensively. Um and I know Matt, you probably have more of a negative opinion of Trey Young because of fantasy basketball last year. But like I just don't understand. You really did not like it's not like an extension where Trey Young had a ton of leverage here. Like, what did he have? Like a year or two left on his contract? You could just be like, play out your contract and then we'll let you go. And I don't understand the reasoning around now you have AJ DeBanza coming in who I really like. And I do like Alex Sarr, I like Bilal Colby and Bob Carrington, and even Justin Champagny, but like I just don't understand why you felt the need to make this gigantic extension. Um, so it's
Yeah. You guys.
frustrating, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You guys nailed it on the head. And I don't know where the Wizards' heads are at, but it'll be interesting to say the least. But I don't think we need to dive into every single pick. Now that I'm thinking about it, because we're not going to get to what we actually want to talk about. No, we'll talk about the draft for sure, but I think we can start talking about the Giannis trade, and then we'll get back to the draft picks. I'll give the updates though as we go along. Yeah. So as I said, Kim Boozer was drafted by the Grizzlies, and what's his I'm gonna say Caleb Wilson. I was
Caleb Wilson. Yeah.
Caleb Wilson. Yeah, because like it sounded wrong because I said in my head, I'm like, wait, no, Caleb Wilson is the quarterback for the Bears. I'm like, no, that's Caleb Wilson. It's like, never mind. So yeah, so like like I had in my head, like I'm like, wait a second. So but yeah, so those are the two updates. We're not going to dive into those yet. We'll definitely dive into those in addition to others later. The Clippers pick is in 2 minutes. They're currently on the clock, I should say. which I think is probably debatably one of the more interesting ones for sure. But yeah, for now we'll dive into the Giannis trade because that's the bigger news of the day for sure. But after months, over a year of speculation, deliberation regarding Giannis being traded, he is finally off the Milwaukee Bucks, and part of me is so happy that this saga is just over. I'm so tired of hearing about it. I'm not gonna be the guy that says like, "Oh, I'm so happy he's off his bad team." Like I know that some people romanticize the idea like of every great player should be on a great team. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think the players can be great wherever they want. But no, I'm just happy that like we don't have to talk about where Giannis getting traded anymore. I'm not so happy about how the trade went how the trade went about because our Boston Celtics made it very clear that they were all in. I'm not so obviously I'm upset that they didn't get him, but I think we all agree they were more upset at the fact that they made it very clear that they were in. It would be one thing if they weren't all in, if they made it clear that we're not going to trade for him, and then everything was fine. But the fact of the matter is, the Celtics did go all. Okay, they went. I shouldn't say all in because they didn't give up all their because they eventually budged and said we're not going to do that. But the Heat traded Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., who I like. The other guy's name, who I just don't remember how to say, so I'm not going to try to butcher it. 3 first-round picks, 1 pick swap, and 1 second-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. So they gave up. They did give. It's one of those. It's funny because it's one of those trades where like the Heat gave up a lot. Like they really did like give up a haul, but at the same time, the Bucks fans are probably looking at it and saying like, wait, like we only got that for Giannis. What are you talking about? So, meanwhile, the Celtics on the other hand, apparently they offered Jaylen Brown 2 first-round picks. And yeah, so I think it was just Brown and 2 first-round picks, and then the Bucks came back with way too much of an offer. They said no, we don't want just Jalen the first-round picks. We want Ugo Gonzalez. We want Ugo Gonzalez. We want Baylor Shireman, and at least one first-round pick, probably another pick swap. So the Celtics said no, screw that. Jaylen Brown is significantly better than anyone in the Heat deal, so we're going to be giving up like fewer assets for Giannis if that were to happen. So the Bucks, in my opinion, in a way, justifiably so, said, okay, you know what? No, we're gonna go with the trade that gives us more assets because obviously, like I said, Jaylen Brown is so much better than everyone else in the Heat deal, but at the same time, we've already seen this story before of a star player being with a bad team. So could they have flipped Jaylen Brown for more assets? Yes, but the fact of the matter is, the Heat gave them more draft picks, which I don't know how good those picks are going to be in the next couple of years, but I guess we'll see how healthy Giannis is. But we'll cover Jaylen Brown later. I just wanted to dive into everything, but we'll cover Jaylen Brown later. So, John, what are your thoughts on just the Giannis trade in general? Him being to the Heat, did the Heat pay too much? Did they pay too little? What's overall take on just between Giannis and the Heat, or the Bucks and the Heat?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said we'll cover Jalen later because I'm hoping you'll come back to us on that because I think there's so much to talk about with this discourse and just this, just everything floating around. It's interesting because I think that the Heat, it's one of those things where like I don't think the Bucks really got good value for Giannis. I understand that he's on an expiring deal. He's 31. He was a little banged up last year. I think obviously biased. I think the Celtics package is better because you're getting like a top 10 player in the league, in my opinion. But I also think that I don't necessarily think the Heat are in like a position to contend either. So I'm not willing to say that it's like a lose-lose. It's almost a win-win, but like both teams who won aren't going to be contending, I think, for any time soon. I think if you look at it from like the Milwaukee Bucks angle, yes, they do have a handful of first-round picks. They have 10 and 13 tonight. Could you hit on one of those picks? Absolutely. Is it like, and this is a very, very good draft, as you said before, Chris. They very well could just get like 2 guys that aren't impactful players. Now, would you be able to get a higher pick or maybe a higher future pick with Brown? Maybe, maybe not. But I just don't think the Bucks felt that. I think their front office of the Bucks kind of just saw like oh, well, Miami's not really going to be as good as Boston in a couple of years, and
Right.
they're offering a handful of first round picks. So those are going to be a little bit more valuable. So I think that's how they made their decision. Um, on the Miami side, I get kind of, putting the chips on the table, going all in for Giannis. Like it makes sense. I think, the Celtics kind of did that, kind of didn't. But at the end of the day, your roster is looking like Davion Mitchell, and I see a bunch of this bothers me. I see a bunch of analysts go Davion Mitchell, and then they say Norman Powell, Giannis, Bam Adebayo. Norman Powell is not going back to the Heat. They
That's
cannot
what it sounds
afford
like.
him.
Yeah.
He had a very good season last
Mhm.
year. He had a couple injury problems, but like unless he's taking a discount to go back to the Heat, like which I feel like would be a little silly because he'd be taking a discount to go back to a team that's like fighting for a 5 seed, maybe. Or maybe I'm underestimating, but like not like the cream of the crop East. Like I still think I can name like a handful of teams that can be better than the Heat next year. I think the
Mhm.
Heat are just establishing a personality here. It's going to be very defensive heavy, but I'm not really sure how far that can carry you. So um, it's a long-winded explanation for saying that I think both teams got what they wanted, but it's not really necessarily a win-win.
Yeah, I think the picks that the Heat gave the Bucks could be very, very valuable in the future. What was it, 2030 and 2033 or 31 and 33?
I think so. Yeah.
So what's that? Giannis will be 38 at that
Mm.
Yeah,
point, and like he probably won't be on the Heat at that point, and who knows if Bam will be there.
he might
Um,
not resign the extension.
yeah, we'll see. I do think Tyler Hero back in his hometown. That's a pretty cool part of the storyline. The guy Casper is Janikowskis. I
Uh,
don't even know how
so,
to
so, so it's funny
pronounce it.
because so it's funny because like last night, I was it was 11:55. I literally set my alarm for 12 a.m. because I thought the trade was gonna be made before 12 a.m. and then I woke up, the trade was already made. I made my TikTok with my glasses off, like no context in, like just totally butchered the fuck out of that name. And then this morning, Bill Simmons says it in a completely different tone, like different ways to pronounce. I'm like, I know that Simmons isn't really the best with pronounced names, but I definitely think that his was more accurate than mine. I was like, oh geez, I hope no one is offended by me for me butchering that. But you go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Yeah, he was a rookie last year. And I know he was pretty like when the Heat drafted him, people were like, "Oh crap, the Heat." He probably did it again with another draft steal. He had a tough beginning of his career, if I remember, and I think he kind of played better as the year went along. So that's another interesting aspect of it. I know the Heat wanted to include Davion Mitchell instead of him, and the Bucks said no. Um, as a Celtic fan, I am a little upset that if the report is true that if Bailey Shireman and Ugo Gonzalez were the two that held the deal up, I will be a little upset about that because although I do trust Brad Stevens, and if he doesn't want to trade Ugo Gonzalez, we probably shouldn't trade Ugo Gonzalez. But at best, in the next 2 years, he's going to be the seventh or eighth guy, first or the seventh or eighth guy off the bench, or in the rotation. I mean, and not trading for, I know 31 is old, but not trading for a prime Giannis when you have Jason Tatum on your team is definitely not concerning, but definitely a choice. I'm happy I didn't have to make the choice because I probably would have given up way too much for Giannis. Um, but Brad Stevens definitely is not okay with the current roster. I know the current roster won't be the roster that we see on opening night. But like John said, I do think it is a win-win for both teams. I think Pat Riley has wanted to get the second star next to Bam. Um, I don't think the Heat are truly contending, like you said, John. I do think this sells more tickets. I do think it puts way more people in the seats. I think Miami is a city where Giannis would like to extend. Obviously, it's a beautiful area. Um, but their spacing is a little weird. I know spacing with Giannis and Bam is definitely weird. I heard Pat Riley was calling people from St. Denis Wednesday night pickups to see who can bring up the ball next year. Caleb is currently the front runner, but we'll see. It's early in the offseason. I'm kind of shocked that it ended up working out for the Heat because I feel like they're always tied to trade talks and it never ends up working out for them. But shout out to Pat Riley for putting all his chips on the table and actually getting the deal done. It is a lot. It is a big haul. I think Giannis is still more valuable than that. I mean, he's probably the greatest Buck of all time. Chris, would you say that?
I would say so. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think you ever like win a trade trading your best franchise player at 31 years old, but we'll see. I think the picks could be extremely, extremely valuable in the future.
For sure. And yeah, I'm actually relatively close. I'm closer to Buck's Twitter than most fans for whatever reason. I remember that was like one of the first fan pages that I got closer with. Like they have like a bigger fan base than you think. I don't know if it's just because of Giannis, but based on what I saw, like a lot of them were upset about the trade. And they even said, like, a lot of them even said, like, you know what, like we did get a lot of pieces back, but obviously you're going to be upset no matter what's no matter how. And this is still Giannis, still a top 5 player in the league, so of course you're going to be upset about that, even if you're finally clicking the reset button. But I think the Heat are currently 5th in Vegas odds, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's a little bit high. I understand you have 2 of the best defensive players. I don't even know where to rank Giannis defensively anymore because he's not nearly who he was, but still obviously Bam and Giannis are. Can't think of anyone else. I think they're probably the best defensive duo in the league, if I'm not mistaken. As far as it goes for ranking league-wide duos, I'd still put Tatum and Brown ahead of him. I'd probably put LeBron. I don't even know who else. I'd put Jokic and Murray. I'd put Brunson and Katz. I don't even know. Shea and Chet for sure. They're probably number 1, honestly. But there's a couple others that I put overall. But I don't like the Heat being 5th at odds at all. Funny enough, the Celtics odds actually improved as well, which I thought was interesting. But I think Vegas unfortunately loves the Celtics. But that's
and they're wrong so often.
That's it. Well, like the thing is, because like I'm not justifying the Celtics like blown like the Celtics like being disappointing in 3 of the last 4 seasons by any stretch of the means, but they're like, oh yeah, they were like negative 3,000 favorites against the Heat in 2023. Oh, okay, no one thought that it was going to be like the Celtics were going to win in 5 and 4 of them were going to be sweeps, so or sweep them and 3 of them were and 3 of them were going to be blowouts. Like no one thought that. Like I feel like most people thought that it was going to be a close-ish series, even though again, I'm not justifying like them blowing it, but like I just feel like every single time the expectations for the Celtics are just way too high, which like low key I do like how the Celtics are like villains in a way because of how high the odds are, but at the same time when you're villains that long and then you lose every single time, how big of a villain are you? But I digress. But we'll move on to the Celtics now though. Actually, first,
I would just like to give a shout out to J-Mac, who is watching this show right now. He just shot me a text. One of my good friends from Rider University. Great basketball player, and I would just like to give him a shout out.
That's right. Yeah, he's a great guy. I remember sleeping in his roommate's bed a couple of times when I went to visit you. Yeah. Anyway, I'll give quick updates. I got to do 2 things actually. So I'll give quick updates. So we already mentioned Caleb Wilson. So there was speculation the Clippers were going to trade back. Not even trade back. They're just gonna. They were going to trade it for like a star. Some people were saying maybe trade the 5th pick for Jalen. Obviously, it didn't happen. They ended up taking Keaton Walger. The Brooklyn Nets drafted Mikhail Brown Jr. from Louisville. I think that's a very good pick in my opinion. And then
volume scorer, yeah.
And then the Kings pick, I'm not going to announce. Jake Fisher announced it, which Shams isn't live tweeting this time. That's interesting.
I know.
Jake Fisher.
Notifications turned on.
Jake Fisher is though, which we're doing a show, so like I don't really care to make sure like I have to watch it, and like I don't have to. But yeah, I'm not going to announce that just in case people are watching the show and the draft at the same time. But anyway, one more thing. I forgot to give my happy birthday shout outs actually. In the NBA, not many big ones out there. LaSalle Thompson, Walter Dukes. He's really the only one that I knew, and Mike James. In baseball, Tom Holler was the one of the highest WAR. The only other one that I knew was Tim Anderson. Probably the biggest fall off I've ever seen after getting absolutely bonked by Jose Ramirez. And NFL was a much more relevant one. To happy birthday to LaDainian Tomlinson and Super Bowl winner, Giants center, I believe he was either center or guard, Sean O'Hara. So Yeah, you guys can correct me. Yeah, John probably knows. Yeah, he'll fact check me. I'm pretty sure he was the starting center, if not definitely one of the guards. But yeah, he was the center. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, we talked about the Giannis piece of it. Let's talk about the Celtics piece of it now. So as I mentioned in the beginning of it, all three of us are upset that not only did the trade didn't go down, it's that the Celtics made it very clear. This isn't the case. This isn't the Anthony Davis trade where they made like one offer and then they just couldn't compete with the Lakers offer because they had younger guys. It's not like it was the Nets where the Celtics just made the finals and they really weren't looking to make any big deals. So they said, okay, you know what, we'll throw you Jaylen Brown, Derek White for Kevin Durant, and just like one of those things where like they were checking to see if the Nets would accept it, but obviously they didn't, and the Celtics said, okay, then we're not interested. This one was no, Giannis is available. We're going to go all in. We're going to offer Jaylen Brown, and we're going to make it clear that we want Giannis and we want this trade to happen. Like they initiated a lot of it, and lots of people are speculating that even though this trade did not happen, that this is the end for Jaylen Brown, regardless. I will allow you guys to give your opinions first. I might give a few. I think I'm going to give a couple other facts though. Yeah, both Brian Windhurst and Shams Charania give an update this morning that like it's likely will happen. However, some of them did say that there's a chance that a trade will go down today. I'm not sure if that's still on the table or if it's a matter of they wanted to get a trade done before the draft. They do have the 27th pick tonight. I don't know if that has anything. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But I would be surprised if they traded Jaylen Brown tonight. I don't know if that means they're not going to trade him at all. Yeah, like I have my thoughts on whether they should trade Jaylen Brown. I have my thoughts on some of the trade packages being entertained today. For the follow me on Twitter, you know my reaction to it. But John, what's your thoughts on how the Celtics handled the trade, and what are your thoughts on how they should react to on how they should react to not getting what they wanted?
I think it's really tough. I think that part of me says if the Bucks were really looking for Hugo Gonzalez and Baylor Shireman, you still have Jordan Walsh and Ron Hopper Jr. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's enough. But if Brad and Mike is Mike Zimmerman,
yes, I think so.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
But if so, let's just say if Brad and his team really feel strongly about maybe not Baylor, but Ugo. I trust them enough. I think they've made a ton of great decisions over the years to make that decision. It just does seem very unfortunate that they got to a point where it's being like nationally recognized and announced that Jaylen Brown is available in these discussions. Now, like if from an outside objective perspective, it's like can't the Celtics and Brad Stevens just be like, look, Jaylen, we're not really shopping you, but like a top 25 player of all time just became available. Like we are going to make you available for that. From my perspective, it's like, yeah, why wouldn't Jaylen be okay with that, right? Obviously, if I was in Jaylen's like seat, I'd be like, screw you guys. Like I won you a championship. I won Finals MVP. Last year was supposed to be like a dog shit year, and I carried you guys to 56 wins. And again, like I know that's not like a accurate depiction of what happened because he did have a very poor playoff series. But like that's what I would say if I was in Jaylen's spot. And not only like I think that like in years past, like there's been trade rumors for Anthony Davis, for Kevin Durant. I think this is significantly more of like a twists in the ribs in a way. Like you're twisting the knife there because the Anthony Davis and the Kevin Durant ones, like Brad can kind of like claim innocence in a way where that's just rumors, that's just bullshit, whatever. Like Giannis, I really do not think you can claim that. So I think that like they're in a tough spot, but I do think that they had they have contingency plans. I do think that they knew the risk going kind of all in, but not all in for Giannis. I think they knew that if if the Bucks don't accept this offer, we have to deal with the blowback for Jalen. So I'm not sure if that includes like discussions with Jalen or like trades for, for other players. The problem is now, and Matt, I'm sure you'll touch on this too, and you too, Chris, but like the problem you run into now is that anybody else available in trade talks right now for Jalen Brown, there is not a player better than Jalen Brown.
Nope.
And even if you pair like Trey Murphy and Derek Queen, who I don't think is available, like I still am not sure that that makes you better. Like, and I think we're all pretty like lockstep in on the fact that if Jalen Brown is like willing to move past this and willing to play for the Celtics, that like that's the best version of the Celtics you have. But I'm not sure if and we've all like criticized Jalen for being a little insensitive or just not, like or sorry a little sensitive and being kind of like an NBA player, but I don't really criticize him for like getting upset about this. Um, Granted, we've talked about the Knicks series in 2025, the Sixers series in 2026. He was not good, especially down the stretch. Like very, he kind of like kind of cranked up his usage, and it was kind of like 2023 Miami Heat series Jalen. Um, but at the end of the day, he was the second team All NBA player last year. He won you a final. He was the Finals MVP. Like I'm just trying to. It's easy to look at it from a fan perspective, but when you put yourself in Jalen's shoes as like a confident player, it's really really tough to see a world where he's not like I'm requesting a trade in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree, John, about it's like I would understand being upset about being traded and stuff like that. Um but I have a way to get over it. Here is let me see, you're getting paid $60 million a year.
Yeah,
Here's $73,000 a game.
yeah. Seriously,
He's getting paid top 10 money to in the league. He played like it last year. Obviously he has his flaws, but I think another year next to Jason Tatum will definitely lessen those flaws. I don't think you split up this duo unless you're getting a historically great player. That's
nope.
a like the Timberwolves said, "Oh, Anthony Edwards is getting frustrated with the roster." There's no way they trade Anthony Edwards. If
No.
he's
No.
available, that's a guy you offer
Yes.
for Jalen Brown. And obviously you would add stuff to it. Giannis is a guy you go after and you trade a guy like Jalen Brown. A guy like Trey Murphy, who I think is I'm higher on than a lot of people. He averaged 20 points on a horrible Pelicans team. They weren't tanking, but they were just bad. He averaged 20 something points. He's a good defender. Um,
That's a Derek White and Bits move,
yeah, like
in
that's what
my
I mean.
opinion.
Like if you're gonna, I think either Brown or White gets moved to this offseason. I think Brad was very, very upset with how the last two seasons went. Roster changes are to be made, which is very, very sad, but part of the business. I don't think you trade a top 15 player in franchise history for Trey Murphy, a guy who's what's Brown turning this year, Chris? 29?
30, right?
Is he turning 30?
I think so.
He just had
All
his
right,
best.
let's relax on the 29 and 30 talk. All right,
John,
significant
he's
difference in those two ages. I'm just saying.
I'm saying he's in his prime right now.
Nice,
Um,
nice.
yeah, he's turning 30 in October. Um, this is not a guy you trade. The Jalen
No,
Browns don't grow on trees. Jalen Browns don't come every like you got blessed with the Nets trade. You get two top three picks and you hit great, like historically great with them. This is one of the best Celtics eras that uh of all time. We're for such a historic franchise. You don't trade the second best player in that era for Trey Murphy or for, depth pieces, in my opinion. I mean, like I said, we will trust Brad. If Jalen is very upset and wants to be the number one guy, which, he has shown signs of that happening, um, then, what can you say? But, I don't know. I wouldn't. I think you trade Jaylen Brown for a select few guys. Giannis is one of them. You end up not trading him. You sit him down and say, "Listen, this is it. Like you're going to be playing for us." I think that's the move.
I
I
totally
feel like
agree.
we've been in lockstep from the jump. And I think, we've thrown out a number of different trade packages in the group chats and kind of navigated that. But at the end of the day, we always said we would trade Jalen Brown for Giannis. But outside of that, I'm not really interested in any other package because Jalen Brown at his best as a top 10 player. And not only is a top 10 player, he's a top 10 player who has played with a top 5 player for the last decade. Really hard to split that up. I do think that last year was very, very disappointing. But when you kind of break it down, when you kind of take a step back and realize the fact that Jason Tatum missed 90% of the year, they went in with a below apron roster. Like that loss to the Sixers was awful, but the roster surrounding the Jays was the problem. It wasn't the Jays that was really the
Exactly.
problem. And you know what? You guys know I haven't really said anything on the podcast, but you guys know in the group chat I've been very critical of Derek White. If Derek White has an average series, they're playing the Knicks. They probably beat the Sixers in 5. Um, but I don't know. I just really hope the relationship isn't uh, ruined enough to where they have to trade him for lesser value. Um, but I guess we'll see. I mean, I kind of figured that if there was like a significant trade to be made, it would have been done before the draft. But we'll see.
I just haven't seen enough evidence and this could be me coping, could be me and I just haven't seen enough evidence to say that. I know that Jalen has been very passive aggressive on social media for his entire career. I know that he says, he like says things that we don't agree with, and we just kind of brush up as, oh, that's Jalen, but like I don't necessarily, and that's kind of the way I'm pushing out, like, oh, that's just Jalen. Like this is more severe for sure. Like I don't. People say like Jalen's comments prove that he doesn't care about winning. I don't think it shows that doesn't care about winning. I think it more so just shows that for his entire career, it's been I think Matt's looking at something now. We'll talk about that in a second. But like it's been like Jalen can't. He's great number 2, but he can't lead his own team, and he did lead his own team this year and was successful in doing so. Obviously, not successful in the playoffs, but like he was successful in leading his team to a lot of wins. So we'll cover that in a second because because there's a relatively not trade. There's like a relatively cool draft being made right now. First, I'll give the updates on the ones that we haven't talked about yet. One of them being is Darius Acuff from Arkansas was drafted by the Kings. Kingston Flemings was drafted by the Hawks, and the day after that, the Mavericks signed Dusty May as their head coach. They draft his former. They draft Michigan guard. Sorry, they draft. Sorry, geez, Louise. Morris Johnson Jr. He's not a guard; he's a forward. My bad. But so that's a pretty cool story. I feel like we don't really hear that too often, to where a college coach moves the NBA and then he takes one of his players. So is that the right move? I'm not sure, but I don't know enough. Yeah, I think Matt or John could more probably Matt will be able to give us more clarity on that. But Matt, quick reaction. How do you feel about Morris John Jr. joining the Mavs alongside his head coach Dusty May? Did you hear about that just now?
Does it sound all right for you guys?
Okay, it sounds better now. Yeah, go.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I actually went away from the studio there for a second. Who are we talking about? Sorry.
The Mavericks drafting Morris Johnson Jr., who played under.
Oh,
Dusty
he's on
May.
Michigan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. That is cool.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that I don't know if you guys touched on Dusty May going to the Mavs. I'm shocked that happened.
Really,
I
no.
thought for sure he was
Me too.
staying at
Yeah.
Michigan. Friend of the pod, Timmy McEnany, huge Michigan guy, was devastated to see him go. He's an elite college coach. We wonder, sometimes it's tough, the translation to the NBA, but I just think he's a psycho basketball nerd. I think it will work out. Johnson, he's I think he's 6'10", 6'9". I'm pulling it up now. 6'9", big guy. He's elite rebounder. He's a very, very good defender. And I think he believes he could shoot the three a little bit. I think
62% from the field. Doesn't say anything about his 3-point percentage, but like it seems like he could trust the floor a little bit.
I think the chemistry with Dusty May is a huge, huge benefit. Obviously, if they're drafting him, May is big on him. I think it's an awesome fit. That's a great story. I'm looking at a mock draft right now and had him going 13. So obviously May sees something in him. I mean, clearly he's a winner. They won last year, so very interesting stuff.
Absolutely. And do we have any takeaways on? We could definitely just stay on Jaylen Brown for sure because I have more to say about that. But any takeaways on any of the picks that were made? Yeah, I already mentioned Mikhail Brown Jr. to the Nets, Darius Acuff to the Kings, Kingston Flemings to Atlanta.
I'm
Yeah, I have a
interested in the
couple.
Nets pick.
Yeah. May you have a couple notes? Yeah.
Yeah, John, if you want to talk about the Nets pick first, because
Yeah.
I was going to talk about Acuff and Fleming.
Yeah, I'll talk about Michael Brown Jr. I think that I remember, I'm not really a big college. I'm a college basketball fan, but I'm not like a nerd like some other guys, or at least like we are with the NBA. But um, I remember watching him a little bit last year. Volume scorer, like he's not really going to shoot a high percentage from the field, or he did not shoot a high percentage from the field in college. But while I do think the Nets need that, like it's interesting to see they brought in Julius Randle. They have Michael Porter Jr. Um, and I'm not really assuming the Nets are going to be contending for a little bit, but like it makes you kind of think of maybe their next move or their next target is maybe a more of a defensive minded pass first kind of point guard. I'm not really sure how many of those still exist, but maybe Igor, or it's Igor, right? Is their draft last year? Maybe he kind of turned into more of that, because they're kind of surrounding their guards with wings who can score. So I think a lot of people wanted or assumed they would draft Acuff, who dropped to them. But maybe they have a different vision. So I'm interested to see, as someone who lives in New York, maybe I'll go to a couple more Brooklyn Nets games next year. Um, Interested to see how that turns out.
I will say Brown was high on a lot of people's draft boards. I know he had a back injury that caused him to miss some time in college, but he did average 5 assists a game last year. I am also surprised Acuff fell to 7 to the Kings, but his size is a little concerning. Mikhail Brown, I think, is listed at 6'5", where Acuff is listed at 6'2", but it's rumored that he is shorter. Um, I agree that you should go to more Nets games next year. I think they're going to be a fun team. I don't think they will be contending like you said, but we have seen Randall change a franchise in New York for the better with the Knicks, so maybe he can repeat it and do it again.
Yeah.
Chris, I know you said you want to talk more about Jaylen Brown. I have a couple of points about
No,
the last two draft
we can
picks.
talk about Jalen whenever. Yeah, keep it
Yeah.
going about the draft. Yeah, 100%.
I'm very excited about Acuff. It's a shame he went to the Kings, where a lot of good players go to die. John Calipari has a huge, huge track record of producing elite NBA talent, especially elite guard talent. And he came out and said, I don't know if he's just hyping up his guy, but he came out and said, I've been doing this for 40 years and I have not seen a guard better than Darius Acuff. He went on such a heater during conference play, the conference tournament, and into the March Madness tournament. He could truly just score the ball. He's an impressive offensive player. His defense definitely is a question mark because of his size. But I think we're going to see a lot of teams take risk on smaller guards now, especially after what the Knicks just did. If you can surround a smaller guard with elite wing defenders and good big defenders, who's to say you can't be in contention. But I love Darius Acuff. His offensive ability is just unbelievable. And then the eighth pick, Kingston Fleming to the Rockets, who it would have been the Pelicans pick. Very interesting pick. He is a stud out of Houston. Usually these Houston guys under Calvin Sampson stay all 4 years, but it was like
Time
right
out,
away.
would you say to the Rockets, or do you mean to the Hawks? I think you said Rockets.
Oh, I
You
did
said
say
Pelicans.
Rockets. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
the
the
Hawks.
Hawks. No, you're
Hawks.
good. Yeah, just want to make sure that.
Yeah, I saw guard Houston. That's what made me think of the Hawks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean the Rockets. Yeah, but to the Hawks, which is very interesting. I'm very excited for these two picks. Fleming's from the start was like he's going to be one and done, which is very very rare in the Houston system. He's a very very elite scorer, elite offensive player. I'm excited to see him. The Hawks are going to be a fun team again next year.
They are. Yeah.
CJ just signed his extension, I believe.
CJ, Aaron Wiggins, they just traded for. Assuming, yeah, like they're gonna have to make a decision between Kuminga and Ricochet. I have a feeling they're gonna. I think they should try to hold on to Ricochet, even though Kuminga was pretty good with the Hawks. But I don't know. That'll be interesting for sure.
So a lot of good guard depth
Yeah.
for the Hawks there, and they just added an exciting young player that has the upside of being a franchise guy.
Definitely. But yeah, the Bucks just drafted Braden Burries, who was an honorable mention All-American from guard from Arizona, first team All Big 12. I'm literally just reading off his accolades right now. Nothing but stats, but yeah, he's he's 6'3", so like a bigger point guard is what I'm thinking. Yeah, he'll definitely be a good piece next to Hero for sure. But yeah, it looks like as of now, the Jake Fisher just tweeted Golden State is fielding offers for the number 11 pick. I feel like those usually don't work out too well because it's literally minutes before. But who knows though? But yeah, that'll be all these picks are like very guard heavy. So I'm wondering when these forwards are gonna come in. By the way, like I'm saying this now because I doubt we'll be here for. Assuming that you guys don't want to stay on it for the whole 2 hours. I know that I don't, so unless you guys want to stay in, then I leave. But yeah, but like apparently Zuby is like heavily favored to go to the Knicks, which would break my heart for sure. But I don't know if that's actually gonna happen, or if it's just like a New York fun fun thing. But who knows? But yeah, you won't have to change apartments or anything. But
I mean, that's where
he's. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of mock drafts where he's going there.
Yeah.
And the Knicks with possibly losing Mitchell Robinson, he could fill in as the backup big,
Right.
and he knows how to play at MSG, so that'd be a great fit for him.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, who knows what happens though? But back to Jaylen Brown. So like, I saw like a couple tweets regarding Trey Murphy since we brought him up earlier. Let me pull it up because I think they're highly accurate. So, you guys know how much I love analytics and how much of a nerd I am, but these people I think are really rooting at the sports. So I don't know if I should call this guy's out by name, but like you know what, I'm not going to, even though he's a guy for the Times and apparently the Ringer too. So he tweeted out Trey Murphy is better than Jaylen Brown, 3.5 years younger, and cost half as much per season. Joe Dumars works in mysterious ways, however. And then this, like I'm not even gonna give my thoughts because you guys know my thoughts, but this guy said NBA Twitter loves saying a dude with significantly less pressure does significantly less is actually the better player. You see this happen all the time. Like this is it's kind of like when people say that Derek White is like better than all-star guards like I don't know, like
Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey, those guys like no. Derek White's not better than Jalen Brunson or Tyrese Maxey. Trey Murphy is not better than Jaylen Brown. If the two of them swap, the Celtics would be significantly worse. I don't know why we're pretending otherwise. Like I know that Trey Murphy's younger. I know he is high upside, but no, don't trade Jaylen Brown for Trey Murphy and one other piece, Herb Jones. Herb Jones, another player that I like. No, we're not trading Jaylen Brown for scraps. I know that I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say scraps, but like we said, Jaylen Brown is not only I think I have him like 12th in the league right now, like top 12 player, definitely top 15. Some would say top 10. Jaylen Brown has been with the Celtics for a decade now. He and Jason Tatum know how to play together. They've been awesome together for an entire decade. They're playoff proven. I understand that some players are on their course, but the fact of the matter is they looked great like for a lot together for in different moments. But the fact of the matter is Jason Tatum just came up with torn Achilles, and I'm not again. These aren't excuses. The Celtics lost to the Sixers, and they should have won. But the Celtics were not built to win a championship. That was not their intention this year, but they just overachieved, and that was awesome. So who knows what's going to happen? Hopefully, Tatum and Brown are both healthy for the entire season. But when the Celtics are built around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they can win a championship, no matter what. So Jaylen Brown, don't take this personally. we were upsets, and some of us still are. Like, I'm kind of over at this point. Like, I don't want to really talk about Giannis too much, but
I'm
yeah,
over
but
it.
like, yeah, don't look. What I even said yesterday, like, I'm not going to spend a second more. It's like taunting, thinking about Giannis just because. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, he's not on the team anymore. But the fact of the matter is, he's a top 5 player in the league, and when healthy, debatably top 2 or 3. So
Right.
this is it's not like we're just trying to trade you, Jalen, for scraps. I'm talking to you, Jalen, directly, by the way. Celtics Nation loves you. Like, the real Celtics fans like you. I know that some Celtics fans and some analytics nerds say, like, oh no, the Celtics are actually technically better with Jalen Brown on the floor. That's why it's not the MVP. No, Jalen Brown is an all-time great Celtic. Like Matt said, top 15. I think there's a better argument for him being inside the top 10 than outside the top 15, in my opinion.
His numbers in the Raptors in 20 years.
Absolutely. Well, at the most 20 years, by the way. But Jalen, if you're watching this, which I know you, which I usually say I know you're not, but like, there's a very high chance you are because you're chronically in line like the rest of us. But and also the 76 people watching, by the way. Shout out to Fluence for not going live on Twitter tonight during Fluent and Chill. He only went live on YouTube, so I decided to steal his Twitter stream. But but anyway, so it looks like the Warriors didn't make a trade, did they? Yeah, they drafted Yaxel Lindbergh. Yes, sorry to get distracted, Jalen, but yeah, yeah, Jalen Brown, you are a Boston Celtic. We love you even more than we love Marcus Smart, who I still consider a Boston Celtic. Jalen Brown, again, we get it. We get it why you'd be upset. Take a couple days to think about it. Don't demand a trade right away. Just think about it, and just think about how much the city of Boston loves you. And I know there have been moments where like it's been kind of brutal, but in my opinion, that if anything, like when fans are like brutal to you, that if anything shows how passionate they are. So, you know how much Jason Tatum loves you. You know how much Deuce Tatum loves you more specifically. Yeah, the two of them have like severe beef. But at the end of the day, Jalen Brown, you are a Boston Celtic. Please do not request a trade. We want you back in a Celtics uniform next year, and we want you to be here for banner number 19. So those are my probably my final thoughts on Jalen Brown for sure. Like I can definitely say more if anyone has any questions. No live comments, right? Oh, two. Okay, so anyone?
Yeah. Flipping a rock is J-Mac.
Oh, is it?
Pause.
Okay, who's off the wall 34? Does anyone know who that is? Yeah, this guy. Jimmy's gonna even know.
Yeah, wrong. Off the wall 34. I don't know who you are, but
yeah, I don't know who that is either. But
he could be very right.
No. No.
Well, it's the thing is like define diva, because like if you're defining diva as like giving weird tweets on social media.
I would be upset if I was Jalen though.
Yes.
Would you not?
Like, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
Like so, I would, like if I was Jalen, I wouldn't necessarily like. It's easy for us to be like Celtics fans, just be like, oh, we'll get over it. You know, like we tried trading you for Giannis, but like if I'm Jalen Brown, I was like the main force or one of the main forces in bringing you to a championship.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and that's super like recent and relevant.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Right. Yeah, that's how I took it. Maybe I'm being a little nostalgic, but like I don't know. I think that teams who trade away like a superstar when they're approaching like 29 or 30, like I don't necessarily think that they like benefit from that. You know?
Unless you're getting a better player.
Right. No, exactly. Like if you're getting Giannis, like that's an all-time great. And I think Jalen Brown is, however you could define an all-time great. I do think Jalen Brown will probably be considered an all-time great when all is said and done. But like,
yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
Like Giannis has won MVPs. He's won DPOYs. Like I think and I'm hoping that Brad Stevens kind of just had that conversation with them where it's just like, listen, we don't think like less of you, but I don't know.
Hey, Jalen,
I think they handled it like, I don't think they handled it wrong, but like, I think that if you're going to like dangle Jalen in a trade, it should just be like, we're going to trade him.
Yeah, and do it.
Definitely.
Yeah, like you have to do it. I don't know. I'm a little upset. Like my concern is that they will trade him because of that, but I don't know.
So anyway, yes, Jalen. By the way, I want you to know that if you stay with the Celtics and win another ring, then I'm going to move you up significantly from your 139th spots on my all-time list. By the way, which even then it's debatable. I can move you up higher because I think that some would debate you're better than Jack Sigma, Bailey Howell, and Dave DeBusschere. Even though Dave DeBusschere is technically made the NBA top 75 list. Actually, technically, yeah, he was the NBA top 50 actually, so that's why he made
Chris,
it. But,
I don't even know who that is, man.
okay, Jack Sigma was on the 96 Sonics, who were
I know.
yeah. Oh, there we. Oh, nice. Yeah. But yeah, Jaylen Brown, you are, however, ahead of Marc Gasol, Bobby Dandridge, Anthony Edwards, Kyle Lowry, and Buck Williams. So it's not like it's not like I'm only putting you ahead of bums. Like, these are great players that are also great as well. I'm very high on Kyle Lowry. I'm much higher than DeMar DeRozan, which I know people would be very upset about. But what do I have DeRozan, by the way? That's a great question.
People forget about Kyle Lowry's net rating on the 2019 Raptors.
That's right. I can't find DeRozan. I feel like I put him higher than this, but I can't. Okay, DeRozan 187, and then I have Lowry at 143. So yeah, it's
Jack's gonna be devastated, Chris.
Jack is gonna be devastated. That's okay though. So
keep Jaylen Brown.
Keep Jaylen Brown. Yeah. So yeah, like I swear, like last night I was ready for us. Like I was literally I was gonna text you guys. I said maybe we'll do. For the pod tomorrow, we'll just do a draft of our favorite Jaylen Brown moments. So hopefully we won't be we're not going to be doing that anytime soon, though.
Maybe we do that next week, regardless.
We could definitely do that next week, actually. Yeah, if we want to, to celebrate.
Maybe once the Celtics come out and say that we're not shopping Jaylen Brown,
I doubt that they're gonna. Like I know that the Celtics aren't really drama ridden, so like if they're gonna trade him, they're gonna trade him pretty quickly. I think, even though they're gonna want to go for the best deal for sure, but like I don't necessarily think the players are gonna overpay for Jaylen if we wait like an extra 2 months, which would be highly irresponsible. Like like that never worked out. Players trading for players late in the season. We saw it happen with the Bucks with Dame. We saw it happen with
Timberwolves.
Bulls.
Timberwolves.
The Timberwolves trading for Randall. Even the Celtics and the Cavs trading for IT and Kyrie, like it didn't work out for either of them really. But actually it worked out for the Celtics because they didn't have to I don't know if you saw the Brian Windhorst thing talking about like how the Celtics just completely got away with murder pretty much for totally like rubbing off Isaiah's hip as like that was like this nothing burger, but it was actually a huge deal and it turned out to be a huge deal. But
yeah, if only the Cavs had a personal training staff that could have found that issue.
Well, they did, and then they said, "Hey, there's an issue here." And then Danny just said, "Yeah, we'll give you an extra second-round pick." And then they said yes, and then they're like, "Whoa, only second-round pick."
Well, here's my question for you guys. I saw a hypothetical trade for Donovan Mitchell, JB swap. What do you guys think? Good take,
I would not do that,
yeah. And if Jaylen Brown, if you're watching, that's a huge compliment to you because
I will
Chris
still
I'm telling you, All-American Hooper loves Donovan Mitchell.
Jaylen, I will I'm telling you right now, I promise you at some point over the offseason, me and Matt will get into an argument about Donovan Mitchell and where I place him on my on my list heading into the season. It's not gonna be ahead of Jalen Brunson anymore, but it will be ahead of a lot of names that we mentioned in the group chat for sure. So despite all that, I want to keep you, and I don't want Donovan Mitchell on the Celtics. Donovan Mitchell on the Celtics would be very cool, but we can't afford him right now. And if I'm going to choose between him and you, I'm going to choose you, Jalen. So again, just keep that in mind. Keep in mind, like I'm a real Celtics fan. I'm a very real Celtics fan, not the ones that bitch and moan on Twitter all day. I mean, I do that too, but not about you. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, this was a great show.
Chris, is your school year officially over?
Yeah. Today was our last day. And
congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was my first successful year as a high school teacher. I was not inside. I did not step inside a high school classroom since I was in high school. So yeah, and then they put me in high school this year, which turned out to be something that I loved. And I just want to be very clear. Like the next thing I'm going to say is I'm not complaining. Like so if admin is watching this, I'm not complaining about this, but it's more so like a challenge that's going to come my way. So they gave us our schedules for next year, and you guys know that I'm a big history guy, as I'm sure like the watchers could see as well. So they gave me 2 economics classes, which I taught this year. I loved it. They gave me 2 world history classes, which I loved too. They had me teach in a section of biology as well. So which again, I'm not a big biology guy, but I am looking forward to the new challenge for sure. So it'll be it'll definitely be something that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, next year will be year 2 in the high school, year 3 at my district. So not next year, not the year after that, but the year after that will be 10 years. So that's what I'm looking forward to that for sure. But one more thing, the Thunder are making a pick. They are drafting Adair, who is a center. So I'm assuming that he might be the iHeart replacement, not this year, but the year after that. But who knows what happens? Another Michigan guy. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so if any of my students are watching this, hope you guys enjoyed your graduation. The night of my graduation, I remember. Shout out. Definitely shout out to my. I love my seniors this year. I only had a couple of them in my economics classes, but they were an awesome group of kids. But John, you told me this about our gym teacher, Mr. Lee, and then also my vice principal, Mr. Reed. Both of them requested me on Facebook literally the night of our graduations. I don't think I'm going to do that with my students just yet. I feel like I'm a little young for that. Like I'm not going to do that just yet. Yeah, no need for that just yet. But like, yeah, I will maybe I'll interact with them more on American Hooper for sure. But yeah.
Hey, so, were you there for my graduation night?
At Leams?
Yeah.
I was. Yeah, that was a good night.
There was a handful of barrel lights consumed that night. I remember that.
Not by me. I was a good boy at that time. I was a sophomore in high school, but I'm about to be a junior. But yes, by a few other people. A couple of them have been guests in the spot. But so anyway, great show. Great on us for diving into the draft. We're also advocating for our guy Jaylen Brown, which I'm speaking into existence. The next episode we have will probably be in about a week or so. We will, and I firmly believe Jaylen Brown will still be a Celtic by that time, and hopefully in October as well. But yeah, John, Matts, appreciate you guys coming on. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at All American Hooper on Instagram and on TikTok, at American Hooper on Twitter. Be sure to check me out tomorrow night on Fluent versus Everyone. We got our debate show with Sports Fluent, with Chilltown, and with Jalen and Ori. And be sure to check out my column on sportsfluent.com. I'll definitely be writing a lot more this summer. Got a lot more time. So looking forward to that. But this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. I'm Chris Driscoll. Until next time, keep grinding and stay hooping. Have a great night, everyone.